Welcome to the Steroids Podcast with your host, Dan the Bodybuilder from Thailand. Boom! Boom! Let's get started here. The Steroids Podcast is brought to you by Ultimate Guide to Roids, 109-page ebook by Dan the Bodybuilder from Thailand. Now, for the first time in bodybuilding history, you have someone with no corporate interests and no obligation to please anyone, not walking on eggshells to not offend. Ultimate Guide to Roids gives you the information, the whole truth, not a full truth and a half truth, full truth. Ultimate Guide to Roids gives you the keys to the Lamborghini, gives you the information, and lets you decide what to do with it. It's a crime this information has been suppressed this long. Now let's get on with the podcast.
All right. Dan the Bodybuilder from Thailand here to get you guys another episode of the amazing, the incredible, the awesome Steroids Podcast. You know, I'm going to be going back to Thailand now next month. At the end of September, and I've been living in Los Angeles, which was kind of like living in Mexico, and I was living in San Francisco. So been between San Francisco and Los Angeles since January, when I came home from Colombia with having had surgery down there on the infection that I had in my leg from a bad shot of underground lab steroids. Now I've been back in the United States, and, it's really been interesting because the reason why I went to Thailand in the first place, when I came back here to the United States and visited again, basically I was reminded of all those things again, and it made me actually appreciate being in Thailand, being in the Philippines, being in Vietnam, being in Laos, more. It made me appreciate it more, having come back to the Western world, and it really, really was essential for my mental development, because now I've experienced being in my culture, being away from my culture for an extended period of time, 4 years, and then coming back to my culture after having been completely gone like that for a long time. And man, what you learn about yourself and the world around you and how you relate to it, it's incredible. It's incredible. Now that I've completed that circuit, wow, it's been a mental transformation to me, mental transformation for me. So I'll just tell you some of the reasons why I went to Thailand in the first place was because the competition in America for success is like really high. Like most people are living a middle-class lifestyle where they're highly dependent on their jobs, and like need those jobs like month to month, and that like basically like controls their life. And then the returns aren't as big as they'd like for having to devote so much of themselves to that thing. And then the returns, it would be a lot nicer if they were a lot greater for how hard you were working. So when you go to a third world country, your dollar goes a lot further there, okay? So, for example, if you have more than, I'd say a minimum of $3,500 to $4,000 a month in Thailand, for example, money is no longer a matter to you. You do whatever you want, okay? Like, you don't think about money anymore. And if you're making more than that, then you're going to be saving that. So that's the barrier to entry there. Something like, you can live in Thailand for $1,500 a month and do so like comfortably, but yeah, like money's still going to be something that, you're thinking about, all the time whenever you spend money. But once you get up to if you get up to around like $4,000 a month or so that you're making, it's like the same as being like an NFL like football player or something with the amount of money that you have, because It doesn't matter what kind of lifestyle you want to live, what kind of high-class nightlife you want to go to, if you're into that, or, you know, what food you want to buy, what restaurants you want to go to, what dates you want to do, what other kind of stuff that you want to do with your life, you know, even probably with performance-enhancing drugs included, like expensive ones like growth hormone and shit. Like, you can take that and at like something like $4,000 a month and live all this different kinds of lifestyle, you could, you know, for that much. And I'm talking about, you know, you got to be a millionaire CEO in America to be living that kind of lifestyle. So the barrier to the high class is a lot lower there, and your dollar goes a lot further. So it makes you feel a lot better about like money too, living that way, because then you're, I don't know, it makes you become instinctively more charitable, and just more relaxed and more giving to those around you. There's just a thing about the way that your money and your dollar goes a lot further there, and you feel good about it. You feel like every transaction you do, you're really getting good value. You're like, wow, you know, this is a great value. I feel like the price that I'm paying for this is the price that it's worth, or I might actually be getting a good deal. Whereas in America, usually when I'm buying shit, I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm getting fucking ripped off, like constantly, you know, because the prices of everything is so high, and it's just like, well, that's just the price it is. That's the price you got to pay, you know, and it feels like your dollar should be worth more than it is. Okay. And so you feel like you're getting bad value, and then that makes you feel less charitable, which, dude, feeling charitable is part of being happy. That's like a huge part of being happy, is the way, like, because that's like totally a huge part of where happiness comes from, is like seeing you cause other people to have good feelings and good emotions, seeing your presence, you know, having the reflection that others' days take on, you know, that part of their day when you're in their presence. If you can see a consistent thing where, you know, it brightens people's day to have you around, that feels great. And, you know, part of that is being, you know, charitable in heart, not just in money. That's not what I mean by charitable, like giving money to charity, but I mean the way that you treat people when you feel like you aren't getting ripped off all the time and you're getting good value for the things that you're buying. You develop this warmth in your heart. Okay. So those are some of the major, changes, just, you know, getting value for your money, living over there is. And then, in addition to that, you know, I'm just going to say, like, they think foreigners are pretty cool over there. So if you've ever wanted to know what it's like, if you're a bodybuilder, especially, they like bodybuilders. And if you've ever wanted to know what it's like to be like Justin Bieber or like Justin Timberlake and get like that kind of attention from girls, or just like people in general, like you're a superstar when you go over there. Like, other bodybuilders, if they've been to Thailand, they'll attest to what I'm saying, man. You're a superstar. And so it's like fuck yeah, like life just like freaking rules. Like it just rules, man. It is awesome. And then there's like gear is there, and it's legal, and it's pharmaceutical grade, and it's like there's good gyms, and the Thai people, you know, make a lot of food on the street. There's always food everywhere. And everybody's smiling, even if they do actually have, you know, some people say, oh, well, the Thais have underhanded intentions behind those smiles. You know, sometimes that may be true, but, you know, I think normally it's sincere. It's part of the culture to keep a smile on your face there. So everybody's got a smile on, and it just brightens my day. It's like I'm just walking on sunshine. It's always warm. You know, everybody's happy with me doing my testosterone or whatever I do over there, you know. Nobody's got any problems with that. It's not culturally unacceptable. And you know what? I'm just walking on the sunshine. I got Thai people smiling at me. I'm smiling back at them. You know, like there's hella girls that are interested in you like crazy, like, and they're not wretched girls either. Like they're not these girls that walk around with these faces like, oh, I'm too good for you and shit, like all these girls do. You know, like all these girls in Western society, and it's like, what the fuck? Because they're getting so much attention 24/7 from dudes like hitting them up on Instagram and shit or Facebook or whatever, that they think they're the shit, even if they're not even attractive. And so like they have no need for any male attention whatsoever, right? Like zero, because they are having their quota filled up. So fuck that, dude. That's not how the women in Thailand are. That's not the way the culture is, okay? The culture over there is that the women, they care, they say, they'll ask themselves questions like, how does a woman be beautiful on the inside and the outside? And they'll like think about these questions, and these then talk with themselves. A lot of them have got kind of funny voices when they try to speak English, but kind of highish voices. And they, they'll say like very feminine qualities. They're trying to please you. And I'm not talking, because some people say, oh, it's only pros in Thailand. No, it's only pros in Thailand if you're in Pattaya or if you're in Bangkok or Phuket, these tourist areas. And you're looking for that. There's plenty of normal girls. Dude, there's like 10 million people in Bangkok. You're telling me that it's just one section of Bangkok that does that. So there's tons of colleges, okay? And the best places to live are away from the tourist stuff, because that shit, it's a drain on your life living around that tourist areas. You got to live among the Thais, okay? Don't go there to be among other foreigners. So I plop myself down right among the Thais. I like to live in the countryside out in northeast Thailand near Cambodia and Laos. It's called Isan. And so it's like some of them have never even seen a white person before out there. And so then I come there and I'm like a unicorn. It's kind of funny. But you know what? I should just before I go there this time get a little like horn that I can stick between my eyes, and I could strap it around like basically like a little kid's birthday hat. I could strap it around back behind my ears, and this time when I show up in Thailand, I can get off that plane and have that horn on my face between my eyes with that birthday hat type elastic shit behind my ears, baby. And I'll be like, hello, Thailand. And you know what? A unicorn will have landed. That's basically the effect that it can have at times. Like I said, they think foreigners are really cool. They're interested, but they're really shy. But as the women are not, they're not trying to do this feminism or equal rights shit or anything like that. They don't care about shit like that. That's like a non-issue to them. They're just worried about like living like a happy life, and they just like want to share it with someone and have them be like, have like true love forever after. They're all like the Disney princesses that they watch all those growing up, and they just want to have a life like exactly like they see on those Disney princess movies, those cartoon movies, like Sleeping Beauty or Cinderella or shit like that. Like they're trying to model that. That's their life's dream, and it gets dashed all the time by like a lot of their Thai boyfriends like cheat on them, because it's just the way it is, and it can kind of poison that a little bit. So you want to be with Thai girls that have not been with, you usually want to be with the ones that are pretty young, because they have like the most gracious hearts ever. And I'm talking like, anywhere between 18 to 25 years old usually. They have the most gracious hearts ever. They are so kind. And if you're willing to be kind back to them, they will just open up. Like open up their heart for you, and give you everything you wanted. I'm talking like emotionally, physically, whatever. They are really great companions. So this is some of the perks of living in Thailand, guys. This is some of the reasons why, when I was in college my last year, I was saying to myself, as I was getting my psychology degree at University of California, I was in this liberal ass school, right? And being shoved all this shit down my throat for a few years, And so I was like checked out, man. And I was thinking, man, I'm not going to go to more school for this bullshit and get like a master's degree or something. Like, I'm just getting my degree, my bachelor's degree, and I'm out of here. And I was so checked out of what I was learning too, because it was all bullshit. I was taking classes about like homosexuals' rights, or not homosexual rights. It was like it was weird shit, man. It was weird shit. It was classes about how homosexuals and transsexuals and toxic masculinity are connected, and all this shit. I was writing essays about them, and I kept on getting like F's on them and having to go see my professor after class. It was a total nightmare, you guys. It was a total nightmare. So, can you believe this? Can you believe this? I can't either. I still am in disbelief. And so after I got my so during that last semester of school, I was like, fuck, dude, I don't want to go like do like this stupid ass psychology shit, and it just doesn't sound good. And but I learned a lot. And so I was like, I've got to find something else to do. And that was when I started my website, my first website, KratomHappy.com. And that's what I was making my income on then for like the next 2 years. And then I was also starting Bodybuilder in Thailand after the first year on KratomHappy.com. And I was working on that. And then when KratomHappy.com went down, then Bodybuilder in Thailand was making enough money to support me by that time. And then so that's how I did all that. And that's what inspired me to want to start working online. Because you know how people say this stupid ass shit about like, oh, 50% of all small businesses fail and all this like bullshit. And I'm like, go fuck yourself when I hear that shit. Cause you know what? This is what's up. This is what's up. If you have an idea and you know it's going to work, then that is what it is. Okay. So with Kratom, I knew that I liked Kratom. And so, when I made a website that was an informational website about Kratom and made videos about it and stuff, I knew that people would be able to see me in the videos and read my writing that I written on the articles talking about the benefits that it had in my life and whatever side effects that were in there. I knew that they would click the damn links that I put there that had a link to the Kratom supplier that I was using, and they were giving me 20% commission for sales that came through my link, But I knew that there's going to be people that looked at my goddamn website that were going to click the link and buy it because, it was a good product. And if I was talking to my friend and I said that to them and I said it to, I don't know how many people were visiting the website every day, but, after 6 months, it was at least, a few hundred or so visiting the website every day. And if you're going to say that to, a bunch of friends and talk about the benefits and the negatives and then recommend the place that you use, yeah, some of them are going to freaking buy it. Like it's just obvious. So that was how I just knew it was going to work before I started, because I was like, yeah, this is how it's going to work. And then with Bodybuilder in Thailand, I knew that I wanted to do a second income stream, because I started that back when I was still doing the Kratom thing, but I had to shut the Kratom thing down. But I started Bodybuilder in Thailand because I was like, yeah, I want to have a second income stream. And then I was thinking, okay, I want to do like a fitness industry thing or like a bodybuilding thing, because that's what I like. And I've been studying this for a long time and doing it, I was, starting to become pretty experienced with using steroids and had been researching them for a long time prior to that, about 7 years before I started. And then I was thinking, lost my train of thought there. Okay. Yeah. Bodybuilderinthailand.com. And so I was thinking, yeah, I want to do this. I want to do like fitness industry, and I want to base it around like truth in the fitness industry, because it had taken me a long time to get there and figure out, going through that whole thing where I was like coached by 3DMJ, Team 3DMJ, Matt Ogus' coach and everything, and really had that whole journey where, I went from, natural to enhanced and really like learning the whole process and, meeting a lot of other steroid users and really getting a feel for how things really are in the real world, like in gyms, what you see in the gyms, not what's talked about on the internet. And so I knew that I had that skill, and I wanted to parlay that into doing something where I could be, doing my personality, or doing what I was interested in, talking what I was interested in and what I knew about on the internet. And then the same thing, like sending, recommending things that I knew worked, and then, saying what I knew didn't work, and just saying the full spectrum, side effects, everything, not only saying good things, but also saying bad things about bodybuilding stuff, or supplements, or SARMs, or whatever, or steroids, whatever, but I've never done any selling with any illegal performance enhancing drugs. I've never participated in anything like that. But I've talked about their effects. That's what I mean when I included that word with saying the positive and negative aspects of them. So, if you just talk to, that's always the attitude that I've had, is that if you just talk to friends, and you just talk with them and provide, an exchange of information, an exchange of value, and talk about what your interests are and what you're skilled at, of course, there's going to be recommendations or things that you say to avoid. And, that information is going to be transmitted between you and your friends, your acquaintances that you talk to in real life. So what I was thinking was, okay, well, just, you got to become a public figure in each industry that you want to do it in. So, first I made the YouTube videos for the Kratom or whatever, and became like a figure who people like knew on the internet. Oh yeah, that Kratom guy, that guy, Dan from KratomHappy.com, that Kratom guy. And so I was like a figure that had like a word in that industry, or that like field, that niche. And so people would come to for advice, and that was my first experience. And then that's been the same way that I was, especially with my first YouTube channel, Dan the Bodybuilder in Thailand, or I think it was just Bodybuilder in Thailand, before that got censored because I was talking about PEDs. Channel got deleted when I had like 20,000 subscribers. That was a shame. Was getting, millions of views on that one. So it is a shame that one had to go. But that was the same thing. It was like, I got to position myself, and here's something that I'm willing to talk about that other people aren't. So that was kind of like my angle on that. And then, I was said, well, in order to be a person in this industry and make this profitable at all, I've got to position myself as someone who people can come to for knowledge and trust, like be someone like in that field that people can say, oh yeah, that guy, that Dan Bodybuilder in Thailand guy. So that's, with the Thailand addition to the bodybuilding, that's how I got the name Bodybuilder in Thailand. So that that was my initial angle, was that I was going like, okay, I'm a bodybuilder. I offer like bodybuilding and fitness information. Plane flying overhead. But in addition to that, I'm in Thailand, so it added like my own special twist on it. And that was how I was thinking of separating myself, and that's how I separated myself from other people. That's how I got people. I came up with something memorable by doing that. So it's like, oh yeah, that Thailand guy, that bodybuilder in Thailand guy, that Dan bodybuilder over there in Thailand guy, or people could say that, and then people would think, oh yeah, I recognize that. So some information about my life to open up this episode of the Steroids podcast. And hope you guys enjoyed learning that about me. Now you know a lot more about me. If you've been listening to the Steroids podcast now, we're at like 10 hours, at least 10 hours of listening now. So I'm sure if you've listened this far, you've wondered, what is that guy Dan doing over there in Thailand? All right, let's get on to some questions. First question of the day is Billy Bones. And Billy Bones asks, Dan, hope all is well, brother. Thanks, man. I'm doing good. Been loving your podcasts. Real good content. Quick question. Do you think Nick Wright is natural? He's a YouTuber. He's a powerlifter and sometimes natural bodybuilder on on YouTube. Been around for a lot of years. I know he was, but after seeing him totally smash a 6-wheel squat, it got me thinking. 585 pounds at under 200 pounds natural? What do you think? 405 bench too. Yeah, this guy's always looked natural to me. His muscles look like pillows. They do not look like shapely and hard and muscular the way that steroid users' muscles do. Like, they don't look steroidish at all. And then when he diets down for his bodybuilding competitions, he resembles a Holocaust victim. Like, he doesn't look muscular at all. He looks like he's on the verge of death. And just like so whittled away and just like futile. Like, it looks horrible. It looks horrible. So I don't think he's on anything, man. I think this guy's a true natural, because I see him diet down for those bodybuilding competitions, and I'm like, oh my God, dude. Oh my God, it's like, it's not a good thing, man. It's not a good sight to see. You don't want to see somebody looking like that, looking so close to just withering away. So I don't think that he is natural. I don't think he's on steroids or SARMs or anything, but he's been lifting for like years, man, like more than a decade, and he's always been pretty damn strong. Like, I know he doesn't look muscular, like he looks like a strong natural guy. He's not so small and scrawny like that when he's not dieted down for a competition. He's more like, and he's another guy that I think he looks a little bit bigger in real life than he does over the camera, because he doesn't have like muscular shape or anything, and you can't see muscular arms. You just see kind of big puffy arms. It's hard to gauge how big that looks in real life. Usually people that look like that on camera look significantly just larger, like larger overall people when you see them in real life, rather than guys who have a really muscular build or have a really muscular look or hard look to their arms and stuff like that. In pictures, sometimes you'll see them in real life and they're not quite as big as they looked in the pictures. So that's how that kind of is. And then the other thing is that, yeah, he's been strong for a long time, and he's never made like really quick progress. I was majorly impressed because after you sent me this, I went and looked at that 585 squat, and yeah, that was heavy as shit. And he did it clean too. So, I mean, that is pretty impressive. Like, and I was like, wow, good job, man. That is so strong at being under 200 pounds too, and being able to do that. I'll tell you, like, that's not impossible. That's not impossible. I don't think that would be impossible to be able to do that naturally. Some people are really strong because of the way that their tendons and muscle insertions and bones are set up, because they have better leverages. If you're like holding a wrench, a small wrench, you can't pull as hard of when you're trying to like take a nut off of like the wheel on your car. With a small wrench, that's like, you have to push so hard and it's probably impossible. You got to get something with a bigger handle, and then it gives you bigger leverage, and you don't have to push as hard, and you're able to exert more force. So different parts, like if someone's tendon for their muscle inserts on a different area of the bone than another person, like further down like the humerus arm bone, or further down the femur leg bone or something, and they get a better leverage because of the angle of that tendon to the bone, they can be significantly stronger than other people because of those leverage effects, and where you're pulling on the bone and the way that the bones are positioned in adjacent to other bones. So that's why some guys are just like so freakishly strong, and it doesn't make sense, or they're really like skinny sometimes, and you see them and they're really strong, and it's like, what the hell? These guys have leverage advantages where they've got great leverage on some of their bones and muscles, and they're able to exert more force because of those great leverages. Like the force that they generate with their muscles generates it's more efficient in transmitting that force to the weights that they're lifting. So that's what I think about him. Does he have contacts that use roids? Yeah, he does. Is it possible that he used some roids to get up to this lift? Yeah, it's possible. Is it possible that he still doesn't look like he's on roids? Well, I don't think he had his shirt off, so how would anyone know? It's possible that he used some roids to get up to this lift, but, with this guy, other than this lift, I've never seen anything that would make me, zero, that would make me think that he was on roids. This is a little bit like, whoa, that's really impressive, but I wouldn't say it's impossible. So that's my opinion on him. That's my opinion on Nick Wright. Natural bodybuilder, YouTube celebrity. All right, next question is Kyle, and he says, some research chemical sites have extreme DMZ with the ingredients listed as dymethazine and Methylstenbolone. Do you think these are not bunk? I thought they were banned. Do they have any usefulness, and at what dosages? Yeah, so these are designer steroids that, designer steroids like Superdrol or that one Epistane. Epistane was a designer steroid too. And then there was like the DMZ designer steroid, and then Stenbolone. Yeah, Methylstenbolone was a designer steroid too, released by supplement companies. They're loophole steroids that, they weren't scheduled because they weren't put as drugs on the Schedule 3 controlled substance list in America. Back when they made that law, when they made steroids illegal, they put all the known steroids that they knew about by name on that list and said these are the substances that are banned. So then designer steroids were steroids that people came up with or found from research back into studies when steroids were being researched and discovered back in the 60s and 50s, and then started recreating them again that weren't on that list. They weren't on that list of the banned steroids, so they skipped over the law, and where they would then say, like, this has a natural way of being found in nature and sell them as dietary supplements. So that's how people, that's how things like Superdrol or like M1T, methyl 1 testosterone, was sold in the supplement stores. And so these two that you're asking about, Methylstenbolone and extreme DMZ, these were like that. So these ones, I think they've been mentioned. I think they've been mentioned by the FDA. Like, these are not okay to sell, and you may be prosecuted for selling them. But I don't think that they are in the law yet. That these are illegal steroids to sell. So I think this company, if you're finding them, it's probably legit. And it's like they've been told by the government, like, you can't sell this, and they're doing it anyway. But I don't think it's actually an illegal substance that they're selling. So I think they're taking a big risk selling that. That's what I think. But yeah, they're both steroids. Dymethazine is two Superdrol molecules bound together by some kind of chemical bond. And so you do get some, when that bond gets broken, you get some Superdrol in your blood, and then some other kind of steroid molecule. I think it's just like the methazine part or something like that. That's why it says dymethazine, two molecules, and it has the Superdrol molecules attached. So it's really strong. Yeah, it's really strong. Really strong steroids. Methylstenbolone is a strong steroid too. And yeah, I think they're probably useful, and I think that they're probably legit if being sold from that place. I think that place is taking a pretty big risk selling that other companies are not willing to do, and that's why other companies stopped selling those products. Next question is from Samuel, and he asks, injection protocol when injecting twice per week for a total of 700 milligrams Primobolan, 700 milligrams Testosterone Enanthate. A lot of oil, but not enough injection spots to heal by the next rotation. Can I inject 4cc in the same spot like glutes or lats? My lats tense up for days post-pinning. Thank you, bro. Okay, I think that the lats is not the greatest injection site because it's near your armpit. It's near a skin fold, so you're getting sweat that makes bacteria go right in that area frequently. So I just don't think it's a good idea injecting into a place that of your body that has a lot of bacteria on it. Although, of course, you use alcohol to clean it off before you start. It just seems like the logical way to approach it would be to avoid areas of your body that are known for having lots of bacteria in those spots, to be injection spots. So 700 milligrams of Primobolan. So that's going to be 700. That's going to be 7 cc's of Primobolan per week. So that's 7 cc's in a syringe, and usually a syringe is 3 milliliter syringe. He's asking, can I inject 4 cc in the same spot like glutes? Yeah, you can. You can do a 5 cc injection into your glutes, but that's going to cause quite a lot of swelling and irritation, and just not something I'd want to do. Also, it's uncommon to use 5 cc syringes, and I mean 3 cc's is enough. I don't want to put more than that. I mean, you could do that if you wanted, because you'd need 3 cc's of Test Enanthate and 3 cc's of Primobolan, and you'd need 3 cc's of Testosterone Enanthate per week and 7 cc's of Primobolan per week to do this cycle. So that's 10 cc's. So if you did like a 5 cc injection twice per week, man, that would suck. I wouldn't do it like that. The way that I would do it is I'd use a 3 cc syringe, the normal size syringe, and I would put yeah, this is what I would do. I would go 3 cc's of Primobolan twice per week. So that would be 600 milligrams. And then on the same day that I did the 3 cc's of Primobolan, I would just do the Test Enanthate 1.5 milliliters. So it would be 350 milliliters or 375 milliliters. So it ended up being 750 milligrams testosterone per week. And I would do that, both of those twice per week, and have it be 600 milligrams of Primobolan, because that's the only way that you can do that and have it be normal. Another way that you could do it would be to inject 900 milligrams of Primobolan each week or something like that. I mean, there's no real way to put this stuff out. You just gotta figure out how much it is. All right, 10 cc's. So you're gonna do maybe 3 cc's and just overload the syringe a little bit 3 times per week or something like that, if you've got 10 cc's to do. Or you could just, add in another injection and make it 12 cc's or something, or another injection at the end of the week. If you're worrying about like having the injections, wanting to minimize that, and always thinking about this kind of shit, that's not the things that are the big things that you should really be thinking about in order to make bodybuilding happen. These things are like insignificant, or like wanting to have that 100 milligrams extra of steroids in there, or being like, oh yeah, taking 300 milligrams of testosterone per week instead of 200 milligrams of testosterone per week is going to really make any difference. Not really. Or even less, like 700 milligrams of testosterone or 600 milligrams of testosterone. You won't be able to tell the difference. So stressing about stuff like that, or stressing about like, oh, I don't want to do a lot of injections, you just got to do whatever is necessary, because these kinds of things, it's not this kind of stuff that you should be spending a lot of time thinking about and trying to worry about them, because it's insignificant for the gains in the long run. So, I mean, if I had 700 milligrams of Primobolan to do, I would just do two 3 cc syringes full of Primobolan per week, and I would do those on like Monday and Thursday. And then on Sunday, what I'd probably do is I'd take a 1 milliliter insulin syringe and I'd put in 1 more milliliter of Primobolan on Sunday to make 700 milligrams. Or maybe I wouldn't do that, and instead I'd just do an injection of testosterone, 1.5 cc's with that seventh 100 milligram, so an extra 1 cc plus 1.1 cc Primobolan and 1.5 cc's testosterone in the syringe for a total of 2.5 cc's. And then that would be 700 milligrams total of Primobolan when it was added to the 3 cc syringes of Primobolan that I did on Monday and Thursday. And then on Thursday, I'd have to add another shot. So in addition to that 3 cc shot of Primobolan, I'd also have to do another shot on Thursday. And it would have to be a separate syringe because there wouldn't be enough room in the 3 cc syringe. It'd have to be a separate syringe, and it would have to be filled with 1.5 cc's of testosterone. And that's how I would get to 3 cc's of testosterone per week and 700 milligrams of Primobolan per week. There'd have to be 2 injections on Thursday, a testosterone injection and a Primobolan injection. Monday would just be 3 cc's Primobolan. And then Sunday would be 1 cc Primobolan with 1.5 cc's testosterone. That's the only way to make it make sense. Taking some math here. Doing some math with you, Samuel. All right. Next question. Joel asks, drugs for Jon Skywalker's physique. Jon Skywalker is an Instagram model, and he is honest about his drug dosages. So you can look on his pictures on his profile, and he has some lists of the drugs and dosages that he uses, which is usually Trenbolone around 300 milligrams per week, and testosterone at a similar dosage with some cabergoline. And he's been doing that for years, and he's pretty much looked the same throughout the years. And I would say that he could probably even get a little bit bigger than he is on that same dosage and still be as ripped. But he's really tall, so it's probably hard for him to put on a lot of mass. He's like 6'4", so those guys, they burn through calories a lot faster than if you're 5'10" or something like that. So it's hard for them to put on mass. But yeah, his dosages that he says that he uses are totally accurate. He's not pulling the blinds over anyone. He is, he is. And then I don't think that Boston Lloyd is a good person to be spending a lot of time around. He seems like a really negative person, and not my kind of guy. But he does tell the honest truth about dosages and like what it takes to make certain physiques and stuff with dosages. He is saying it accurately. So that's another guy that says it accurately. All right, so yeah, if you want to look like Jon Skywalker and know his drugs, 1 cc of testosterone propionate and 1 cc Trenbolone acetate every other day. So that would be 100 milligrams of both testosterone propionate and 100 milligrams of Trenbolone acetate every other day for a total of 350 milligrams each per week. Those are the steroids that you would need. Then you'd need an anti-estrogen pill like exemestane, Romacin, and you'd need to take a few of those at 25 milligrams as each pill, and you'd need to take a few of those per week. And in order to have a functioning sex drive too, you'd need to have cabergoline, and you need to be taking 0.5 half milligram tablets 2 to 3 times per week, something like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, something like that. And then with the exemestane, the anti-estrogen tablets, it's also called Romacin, taking those like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, something like that. And then that would look like the complete cycle. And then when you were done, HCG, by the way, is the best PCT drug. So I would definitely have HCG. And I'd also have Clomid. Clomid after the cycle. I'd take that for around 4 weeks at 25 to 50 milligrams per day. And I'd take the HCG intramuscular injection from an insulin syringe. I'd take that at 2,000 to 3,000 IUs per week, and I'd split that into 2 or 3 injections, each 1,000 IU injection, and that would be my PCT. I'd maintain that for about a month doing those things. So that's how, personally, I would run a cycle that was like these cycles that Jon Skywalker uses for his physique. Sammy asks, do you know if I have to PCT after a Proviron cycle? I heard it's not suppressive to the hypothalamic pituitary testicular axis. That's the system of your body, the hormone system, feedback loop that controls your fertility and your sex hormones. So basically controls your testicles through a feedback loop called the abbreviated HPTA. So Proviron doesn't really suppress testosterone. I know that seems kind of weird because it's a steroid. It's not a steroid that builds muscle. It only has androgenic effects, which means it only acts in tissues other than muscle. And it's very similar, almost identical to DHT, dihydrotestosterone, your normal androgen, that does everything in your body for a male body and male hormones, except for in the muscles. So Proviron is like an oral substitute for this. But if testosterone isn't being decreased in the body, which in studies that show that guys taking Proviron, they don't have a decrease in testosterone levels, at least not significantly, and that's at like 25 to 50 milligrams per day. It just adds to their total hormonal load. And I've seen some of my friends take this stuff. I told you guys in one of the podcasts about like my friends in Thailand or something, an occasion would be like, man, that looks cool, like the kind of lifestyle that taking steroids helps you to live. And they were like, is there anything I can take? And sometimes I'd be like, if they would really be insistent, but I knew that they weren't like a consistent gym goer, and it would just mess up their life, I'd be like, you know what? There is something at the pharmacy. There's this stuff called Proviron. So if you take that at like 50 milligrams per day, it won't suppress your natural testosterone much. And, it'll give you a crazy sex drive, and it might give you some acne and oily skin. But like compulsive sex drive, it's going to be like compulsive sex drive in your face, man, because this stuff, Proviron, goes right to your brain. The main effect that you see is like more oily skin and some acne, or like deep cystic acne. And even in a guy like myself that doesn't get acne. And then like sexual like compulsions. This happens in everyone, by the way. It's like, damn, I'm not trying to become some kind of like masturbating freak over here or something, and that's at like 50 to 75 or even 100 milligrams per day of Proviron will do that. And Masteron, injectable Masteron, will do the same thing. It really has strong effects on the sex drive that is like, what the heck? It's like the area of your brain is just stimulated all day long. It's freaking crazy. It's really weird. But yeah, they would take that and they'd be like, damn, this shit works. So then they'd tell their friends, and then more of their friends would start running it. Got a bunch of guys. But it's meant for old guys. It's meant for guys like ages 60, 70, 80 years old to be able to like have sex drive. That's the reason for the tablets, like help them have like vitality, energy, and sex drive. So when young guys take it, it's like out of control, dude. This is no exaggeration. All right, next question. Blue STI asks, hey Dan, what do you like better, Anavar or Winstrol? Which one gives the best effects? What's good dosages and your favorite? Yeah, I like Winstrol because Winstrol is pretty good stuff. Winstrol is really good. It has a big effect on nutrient partitioning. So, I mean, just taking the tablets, you'll start to get a little bit leaner at like 50 to 100 milligrams per day. Anywhere between those dosages, when combined with at least 1 or 2 cc's of testosterone per week, you'll start to get like significantly stronger too, and it'll also fill your muscles out and give them a more bursting against the skin, but also it just gives a really good look, like a really good hardening of the muscles and helping them to look awesome, look hard and muscular. That's what Winstrol does. It helps you to be strong, have good nutrient partitioning. So it's harder to gain fat, it's easier to lose fat, and it's also pretty good for gaining like a lot of strength, and also good for gaining muscle size. And it does all those things at the same time. Is it as strong as Tren? No, not even anywhere close as strong as Tren. But this stuff works, and it's really good stuff. So, some people say it's like a Trenbolone light. I mean, yeah, it's another one of those drugs that, it's a component. It carries some of the same qualities of Tren, but it doesn't give the same overall effect as Trenbolone by a long shot. Like, Trenbolone, like, kills it when you compare it, like, head to head, But it does have some of those same effects. So it's great. Yeah, I love it. I love Winstrol. This is not medical advice. It's just me sharing my opinion. Me sharing my opinion and experience, and not glorifying this at all. For building muscle, it's very good. And then Anavar, it's just not as strong, man. The thing with Anavar, though, is it's more healthy than any other steroid. You can get sick on Winstrol from taking it for too long or for too high of a dosage, but that doesn't happen that much. It's really like not like super toxic or anything, but then Anavar is even less toxic. Like, some people get headaches on Anavar. I actually do get headaches on Anavar from anywhere above like 30 or 40 milligrams per day, and that doesn't really do much at all. You got to take at least 50 milligrams of legit Anavar to make it like make a big difference and make you be like, yeah, I feel this stuff for sure, and I'm noticing the effects. It's got to be legit Anavar oxandrolone, and it's got to be over 50 milligrams. That's the way it is. And if people say lower, that's not true. So that's the way that is. It also helps you look better. It helps you look more cut up. It's not quite as sharp and sucked down and blown up from within at the same time look as Winstrol. It's not really a sucked down look at all. It's more of a volumizing look that Anavar has, in combination with a nice chiseled look, but it doesn't have any of that sucked down quality to it. And it's more of just like a nice boost. It's a nice boost. It helps you get stronger, yeah. But it's just not like Winstrol, where Winstrol is like, that's a pretty hard hit, Like, you take Winstrol and things change big time. They don't change to the absolute most extreme that they possibly could, but they do change. Like, things seriously change in your bodybuilding life when you get on Winstrol. And Anavar is more like turbocharging what you've already got going. That's the best way that I could rate it like that. But you can stay on Anavar a lot longer and not get sick at all. So, and Anavar is processed by the kidneys, not the liver. So that's another thing about it, is it stresses a different part of your body than most oral steroids. They actually prescribe it for helping people recover their liver health after getting like fatty liver disease from alcoholism. Then the doctors sometimes prescribe them Anavar to help them grow their livers back. All right, the next question is Sai asks, thoughts on cut mix Test Tren Masteron. Okay. Testosterone, Trenbolone, and Masteron are all hormones that have value in bodybuilding. The Masteron, for me, it's not comfortable to use Masteron, so I don't really like Masteron myself. It just, it makes my skin get like this thick oil slick on the top of it. It looks good, and, it helps, it looks great. The way that it makes your muscles like more defined and shiny. But it also has that really extreme sex drive quality that is, that's really annoying and distracting. I'm trying to get stuff done. And it, it's just whatever. It's blah, because it doesn't build any muscle at all. It builds zero. It's deactivated in muscle tissue by an enzyme called 3-beta hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase. And so it doesn't build muscle at all. It just has effects like on your skin and like on your mind and shit like that. I don't like it. Some people, since it increases your sex drive, and some people have, well, most everybody at some point and at what dosage will have sex drive issues on Trenbolone. So Masteron, using that to kind of try and override that. That's one of the main reasons that it's used. and then adding that to the adding to that look that it gives with your skin and that really dense oil layer. It's a really dense layer of oil that shines, has a special way of shining, making your skin and the definition of your muscles look good. But so generally, that's Masteron. But I don't like getting these things that are 3 different steroids in one vial. For one thing, it's not as healthy, because in order to get it like that, they got to put all kinds of like solvents and shit in there, and they're using all these synthetic chemicals to get that stuff all dissolved into it. So then these things that are these mixes, like 100 milligrams testosterone, 100 milligrams trenbolone, 100 milligrams masteron in 1 cc, and then 10 cc's of that in a vial called cut mix. That's usually what UGLs call it, underground labs. And that stuff is notorious for causing like infections and swelling and like pain at the injection site and like all kinds of problems, because they have to use heavy solvents and stuff to get that stuff diluted. A lot of chemicals, a lot of synthetic chemicals to get that stuff all diluted down into 1 cc of oil, and it's probably synthetic oil too. And then it's just not good stuff. And who knows if they're putting all the dosages in there correctly anyways. I'd rather draw from a vial or ampule. Ampules are usually always better than vials, by the way, because with ampules, they had to put a lot of effort into that to get, ampules of their steroids made. So these people aren't really cutting corners. Like, they're really putting a lot into getting these ampules out of glass manufactured with their steroids locked inside the glass. They're not just, getting some freaking steroid bullshit powder and then mixing it up and slapping it in a vial and crimping it with their hand, right? They actually had to go through a huge like machinery process to get these ampules made. So generally, ampules are more likely to be legit than vials. That's just the way it is. And but usually this stuff, this mix, what if it's not 100 milligrams of Testosterone and Masteron in each vial? What if they are underdosing some of the chemicals in there? I just feel like they would probably have, because these are not high integrity guys who are, manufacturing UGL steroids, like if you want high integrity, you need to only use pharma grade, especially with injections. But, you can't be thinking, you got to be thinking, what kind of corners are these guys going to be cutting on me? So I'm not doing that. Okay. Personally, I'm not doing that. Buying any cut mix. That's what I think of it. Dylan asks, what do you think of injectable SARMs? Man, I saw this and I'm like, what the hell is that? You know what? SARMs are totally orally absorbable. So why would you need, and they don't stress your liver either when you absorb them. So why the hell would you need to inject something that absorbs like more than 90% by putting it through your mouth? That makes no sense at all. Like, just because you love injecting yourself, I'm like, what the hell is this? So like, that was one of the stupidest ideas I've ever heard of, injecting SARMs. That's just fucking stupid. Like, somebody is like pulling your ass around if you're injecting SARMs, man. Some kind of needle pusher, some kind of person who is like just like loves needles and giving themselves injections is going to be the type is like, I gotta find a way to inject everything. It reminds me of people who are like finding like stuff to like stick up their asses and shit, or people who are like going to their grandma's house and like stealing opioids and shooting them up their ass and shit like that. I'm like, what the fuck? They're trying to put shit all up their ass. Like, what the hell, man? So anyways, next question. That's what I think about injectable SARMs. Jordan says, I want to know your thoughts on something. So I was on Testosterone Masteron and Winnie. These are common cycles, guys, for looking good and getting contests, getting ripped up, shit like that. Everything is finished except I'm still running 600 test enanthate until the end of the month. Even though everything else has been done for a while, now I feel stronger, my veins are pumping more, and I feel much fuller being off of everything else but the testosterone. Also have skin itching problems that went away. They went away after he went off and is just on the test the testosterone now. Okay, yeah. Why did your cycle get stronger when you went off of the other stuff but stayed on the testosterone? You were probably toxic. You're probably having some health issues while you're on all the other stuff. And so steroids is all about being able to process your food at maximum efficiency. Okay, they change the environment in your body and how it processes food to handle it and put on muscle tissue, etc., in response to the food and the training. So if your digestive organs aren't working good because they're under stress from, taking Trenbolone and Winstrol or Masteron or whatever, then the steroids, even though they're in your body and they're there helping that environment be very anabolic, it's like if the digestive organs aren't functioning at a top rate, then everything is fucked. So that's like the importance of being healthy and being on steroids. That's why a lot of times when guys are bulking too, that like if you notice a lot of pros when they're bulking, they're not like so loaded up on so many compounds and stuff. It's usually like testosterone and deca or testosterone and equipoise or usually those, or sometimes Trenbolone too, being pushed up at really high dosages, and then like just little bits of a couple orals, like 100 milligrams of Anadrol or 200 milligrams of Anadrol or 100 milligrams of Dianabol being added to that. And then, just using growth hormone and insulin and no other drugs when they're doing the bulking phase, because they're trying to stay like not toxic. Because when you get toxic, it really makes the steroids not work good. When those digestive organs are under stress and your body's under stress from being toxic, it makes everything get shit on as far as building muscle. So that's what I think probably happened there with you. Also, the skin itching problems is a sign that you're toxic. Your body is toxic and under a lot of stress from the steroids you're taking. When that happens, you'll notice it because your immune system starts getting lowered, and you'll start getting like little like allergic reactions. Like you'll notice, some people will notice hives or like little like bumps of like itching red little like hive type things on their fingers or something like that, because their immune system gets lowered from the toxicity. It's not working as well. And then like little things or like the presence of all the gear in their body, stuff like that, will be causing more of an allergic response by the body and a freak out response. And sometimes they'll get these little hives and little itchy bits to the skin as sort of an allergic reaction. Their threshold for irritation and having allergies, things like that, or getting sick gets lowered as the toxicity from the steroids or performance enhancing drugs is high. And then these little irritations, their body has a bigger response to them when they happen. All right, next question is from Bojack. My question is, would this be an okay cruise? 150 milligrams test enanthate per week, 100 milligrams equipoise per week. Don't want to have 250 test enanthate because I aromatase quite a bit. No gyno, but a lot of water retention and face bloat. And don't want to use aromatase inhibitors because of cholesterol. Using anti-estrogen aromatase inhibitors like Arimidex, exemestane, not exemestane actually, but Arimidex and letrozole, they hurt your cholesterol levels, but exemestane is actually okay for your cholesterol levels. And he says, what are your thoughts on this? And yeah, so equipoise doesn't really cause any estrogen increase, because the estrogen that it does create when it interacts with the aromatase enzyme is that thing floating around in your blood that when it interacts with some steroids, it can transform them into estrogen molecules. So the estrogen molecule that equipoise transforms into, estrone, it's not very potent. So you don't really feel an increase of estrogen using equipoise. So, I mean, I don't see a problem with what you're doing. Personally, I think the point of a cruise, though, is to let your body like completely detox. Is equipoise going to like be toxic for your body? No, and you can probably get all your blood work to like looking great on that dosage. Like, it's up to you to experiment with it and then see what you can do and if you can get healthy on it. But the point of a cruise, I always try to remind myself this: the point of a cruise is that you're trying to get back to full health and give your body a break and not be running anything that is going to be toxic or hard on your system. Because if you've been using roids for a long time, and I'm sure that you have, you've got a handle on what you're doing with the gear and everything. and I can tell that you know what you're doing, then I know that for you and for everybody else that uses gear for a while, as soon as you get back on cycle, dude, it's like you blow up. Like, even if you do get small or, quite shrunken down or something off of cycle, it's like as soon as you go on again, it's like 3 weeks and you're just boom, back to where you were before. And since the whole goal and the whole reason for coming off and doing a cruise in the first place is to like get completely healthy and completely recover from the stress of being on steroids, I just think that, whatever you do, if you use the equipoise with the testosterone or not, just remember the whole point behind why you're cruising in the first place. It's to get completely healthy and to remove all stresses from your system. So make sure that what you're doing reflects progress towards those goals. And usually those goals and knowing that what you're doing is good for them can be reflected in your blood work and doing things like taking your blood pressure. Those two things. Next question is from Johnson. He says, I was wondering, what is the average amount of steroid cycles someone takes till their natural pre-cycle testosterone levels never come back? Say if they still followed proper protocol of HCG, Clomid, Nolvadex, and AI use. Yeah, so in the last episode of the Steroids podcast, podcast number 9, I talked about, how birth control works and how birth control pills are estrogenic, progestogenic steroids, and how the reason why they make women infertile is the same reason as androgenic steroids like testosterone and other steroids make men infertile. So it's the same reason. And, there's a spectrum, and how long the women have taken the birth control too, that matters, and how long it takes to get their fertility back. Now, some of them, they're on it for years, and then they stop, and their fertility comes right back, like in a month or 2 months. But then others of them, it takes like 3 to 5 years before they get their fertility back. And some of them too, they also need therapy like Nolvadex and tamoxifen, Clomid, and HCG, and also follicle stimulating hormone, which is called menopausal gonadotropin hormone. Yeah, menopausal human gonadotropin hormone. Yeah, HMG. That's what it's called. HMG is the injectable form of follicle stimulating hormone. And that one's more important for women's fertility than for men's fertility. HCG, or the analog for luteinizing hormone, which is the natural hormone in the body, is the more important chemical for men's fertility. So, when a woman is infertile from taking birth control and she goes to a fertility doctor and they start giving her drugs, for that, it's the same drugs that men use for PCT, because our systems work on the same principles. So you can usually always, no matter what, get fertile again. And if you just take like 3,000 IUs of HCG for a few weeks, I mean, it's going to make your testicles start functioning. That's just the way it works. So I don't really, there's guys who can get hypogonadal for years from using and become sterile or infertile and have low testosterone for years because of using steroids. But, if they go to a fertility doctor, or they do things like using Nolvadex, Clomid, HCG, and HMG, human menopausal gonadotropin, as a last resort. But if you're using all those things, you're going to be fertile, at least while you're using them. So, the steroids, they don't destroy your testicles. They just turn them off. There's no signal anymore going to them to make them stop, to make them work. So then they're not creating anything. They're not creating any sperm. They're not creating any testosterone. They're like latent, like in hibernation, and they shrink up, but they don't get destroyed. And then when you start, when you use like HCG, or you stop taking steroids and use PCT drugs, then they go back to normal size. So me personally, I'm always creating sperm and testosterone because I take 500 IUs of HCG per week, and that's enough. I take that year round. I never stop taking it when I'm off steroids and when I'm on steroids. I always am on it, and that keeps my testicles working normal, as natural. So that's what I do. Next question is from Ronald. What are your thoughts on using MK67 oral growth hormone along with human growth hormone to be more cost effective, along with packing a bigger IGF-1 spike? I think that totally makes sense. I think, waking up in the morning and taking a shot of injectable human growth hormone and then taking an MK677 like 10 to 25 or 30 milligrams before going to sleep at night, I think that that would have like a considerable effect on growth hormone, because all your growth hormone naturally is released at night anyways. So if you took that before going to bed, you know, if there was any negative inhibition of growth hormone release because of injecting that synthetic growth hormone in the morning, then, you know, growth hormone's pretty much done its job and out of the body 12 hours after injection, so it would have been long enough. And if there was any kind of like layover from that, then taking the MK677 would be enough signal for your pituitary gland to release that natural growth hormone. And I mean, that totally makes sense to me. I haven't tried it, but I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking the same as you. I've been thinking that sounds like that would be good. And so I was thinking of the logic of it. And yeah, it sounds all logical to me. It sounds like a great way to take growth hormone shots and then maximize your own growth hormone production at the same time and be cost effective. That makes sense to me. Next question is from Chris. Is there a way to boost natural testosterone into the high normal reference range long term without injecting testosterone? Would a cycle of HCG or anything else do that, or will it only boost it short term? Yeah, taking HCG, you can make your natural testosterone levels get up to like as high as if you were on steroids, but that will be temporary, and then you'll desensitize your testicles to the effects of HCG, and then when you go off of HCG, then your normal luteinizing hormone won't be enough to stimulate your testicles at all, and you'll have low testosterone levels until your testicles resensitize to the effects of luteinizing hormone again, because of if you abused HCG. So that's why you wouldn't want to do that. But taking Nolvadex at like 20 to 40 milligrams per day will double your testosterone, your natural testosterone. It has some other effects too, which are negative effects, such as like lowering like IGF-1, which is a muscle building chemical at the same time. But I mean, it does double your testosterone levels. But there's nothing that you can take, you know, that's going to give you results like you're on steroids, other than steroids, and, you know, things that are like steroids, like prohormones or SARMs or steroids, things that act on your hormone receptors. There's nothing that's going to give you, nothing that boosts natural testosterone or boosts your own testosterone production. Nothing is going to do that. You can't get those natural production of hormones. It never becomes anything near the way that putting synthetic hormones from outside the body and injecting them into your body or taking them orally through your body, that's way, way stronger. And that's how you get the effects of being on performance-enhancing drugs. Your natural body will never produce enough hormones or potent enough hormones all at the same time or whatever they need in order to look like you're on drugs when you're not. That's just not reality. All right, the next question is from Nepram. Hey, bro, I want to ask you something regarding performance-enhancing drugs, as I'm a natural athlete. I think this guy may be from India, and I'm organizing a natural competition in our state as a platform for natural athletes who are using performance-enhancing drug. Okay, he says he's organizing a competition for naturals, but performance-enhancing drug-using athletes are entering the natural bodybuilding competition. According to your knowledge, what test will be the best test for such athletes, as I'm not against steroids? I just wanted to give a platform for natural athletes. Yeah. So he's wondering how to keep steroid users out. So yeah, absolutely. So the thing is that the tests for the urine tests, those don't work because you can stop taking steroids a couple days before, if it's a certain type of steroids, and then you won't have a bad test unless you were taking the steroids, you know, like a few days before or a couple weeks before or something. You want to do something where it's going to have a more longer term effect than that. The best way to do that is a lie detector test. People can still beat lie detector tests and pass them even if they're lying, but they have to study a lot and practice a lot to be able to make that happen. And I don't think the guys that are going to be getting tested for the competition you're holding are going to be doing that. So if you do a lie detector test, you can ask them questions like, like, have you ever used steroids? And they'll be connected to the lie detector test. And if they say no, their body, it will know. The test will know and say, because their body will let out signals that says, I'm lying right now. Your body has certain reaction inside when you lie and tell the truth. And so that lie detector test is going to be way more effective than something where you can test their urine. Because, like, for example, stuff like Turinabol, that used to not be able to be detected for more than 3 days after taking the last tablet of the Turinabol steroid. And then in 2016, they discovered a new metabolite of that one, so now they can detect it for like 3 weeks after you've taken the last tablet. But still, I mean, that's how far back the technology is in detecting steroid use in blood and urine. It's really primitive, and it's not very good. So the best way that you can prevent having people on performance-enhancing drugs in your natural athlete show is to do a lie detector test. Great question, Naprem. Thank you for asking. That was a great question, bro. Nick says, your opinion or experiences on Test400. Yeah, this is kind of the same opinion that I have as the test mix where they, or the cut mix where they mix the test, the tren, and the Masteron in the same vial. They have to use a lot of solvents and a lot of chemicals that are not healthy in order to make this stuff dissolve in the make so much hormone dissolve into the little bit of oil, because it's really potent. Per 1 milliliter of oil, there's a lot of potent hormones crammed into that on, cut mix or testosterone 400 milligrams per milliliter, that's what Test 400 means. Because the normal amount that fits into the normal solution, or the normal solute that fits in a solution of 1 milliliter, is 250 milligrams of testosterone. That's a amount of milligrams that fits well in 1 milliliter of oil. But in order to get more, so 400 milligrams and Test 400 into that 1 milliliter of oil, well, they have to put a bunch of chemicals and shit in there. And so a lot of times it has worse post-injection pain and swelling, and also it's just bad for your body. And personally, I can tell the difference. I can tell the difference big time between gear that's dosed, like low milligrams per milliliter, and that feels so much more healthier and smoother for me than taking high dosed milligrams per milliliter anabolic steroids. So yeah, I've used Test 400, and yeah, it was really potent. It was definitely 400 milligrams per milliliter, so it was the right potency, but it kind of makes me feel a little bit sick, and I'm not trying to do, I don't want to have stuff added in there, all these chemicals and shit added in there that make me sick, and they're toxic to me. So I just like to use testosterone 200 or testosterone 250 milligrams per milliliter. All right, and the last question for today is by Fraser, and he asks, hey Dan, can you share a fertility protocol for users who are looking to optimize their prospects of having a child after using steroids? Yeah, I said this with Chris, and or I said this with one of the questions today. I explained how to get fertility, and that is when you use HCG and you use Nolvadex and you use Clomid, okay? You could use Nolvadex at 20 milligrams per day, Clomid at 50 milligrams per day, and HCG at 1,000 IUs 3 times per week. You could do that, and that's how you could start out. And then you could start ramping the dosages of all those things up if you still weren't getting fertile. And if you were, if you doubled, or, if you doubled all of those dosages and for a few weeks you still weren't fertile, then you could do some troubleshooting by adding something in like HMG, human menopausal gonadotropin, and taking that at like 25 micrograms or something like that, a couple times per week. All right, guys, that was the last question for today on the Steroids Podcast.
If you would like your questions to be answered on the Steroids Podcast, go to steroidspodcast.com and leave a comment with your questions, or email or private message steroidspodcast@gmail.com or steroidspodcast on Instagram. Until next time.